Jason Statham's villainous character received such a cool introduction in what is arguably the best Fast and Furious movie. While the first few Fast and Furious movies focused more on street racing, Fast 5 and Fast and Furious 6 evolved the franchise into more traditional action movies. After this change, Fast and Furious quickly became one of the biggest action franchises in Hollywood. However, at this point, while the series had many likable characters, it never really had a despicable villain that audiences were terrified of. This all changed with the tease of Statham's Deckard Shaw at the end of Fast and Furious 6. Fast 5's Hernan Reyes was a criminal kingpin, but wasn't really that intimidating for characters like Dominic Toretto and Luke Hobbs. Fast and Furious 6 Owen Shaw was a step up, but still left something to be desired. Luckily, Furious 7 introduced Deckard Shaw, who promised to get revenge after Dom and his team gravely injured his brother. At the beginning of Furious 7, Deckard Shaw gets the coolest introduction that an action movie villain could have. Furious 7's opening sequence is one of the coolest villain introductions ever. Furious 7 immediately shows that Deckard Shaw is a major threat. At the end of Fast and Furious 6, it is revealed that Statham's Deckard Shaw was actually responsible for the supposed death of Han, which happened all the way back in the third film in the series. Since Han is such a beloved character, this reveal established that Deckard Shaw would be the most villainous character in the franchise. After Fast and Furious 6's shocking ending, Furious 7 wastes no time establishing just how dangerous Deckard Shaw really is. Furious 7 begins with Deckard Shaw visiting his brother in the hospital. Even though Owen is unconscious, Deckard talks about how he's always been the one who has to step in to defend his brother. After swearing to get revenge for Owen, Deckard leaves the room, revealing a hospital that is in ruins. As Deckard walks through the hospital, audiences can see how many police officers he killed to get to his brother. This scene is not only incredibly cool, but also immediately proves that Deckard will be a major threat for Dom, Brian, and their crew in Furious 7. Furious 7 made the most of Jason Statham as a villain. Furious 7 gives Deckard Shaw many evil moments. After receiving pardons for their crimes in Fast and Furious 6, Furious 7 shows that Dom, Brian, and the rest of their crew have separated and are enjoying their lives. However, this doesn't last for long. After visiting Owen in the hospital at the beginning of Furious 7, Deckard Shaw breaks into the DSS field office in Los Angeles to get more information about Dom and his crew. It is here that Deckard fights with Luke Hobbs, who is arguably the most formidable fighter in the Fast and Furious franchise. However, Deckard manages to injure Hobbs and escape, which further proves how tough of an enemy he will be. Including moments like Deckard walking through the battered hospital and fighting Hobbs early in Furious 7 proved that he would be the most dangerous villain in the franchise. Even 10 years after the release of Furious 7, it's still possible that Deckard Shaw is the best villain in the Fast and Furious franchise. Even though Deckard eventually becomes a likable anti-hero, he is truly despicable and menacing in Furious 7. Deckard Shaw has had a few iconic scenes in Fast and Furious. Deckard Shaw has become one of the best Fast and Furious characters. A major part of the reason why Deckard Shaw is such an effective villain in Furious 7 is because of Statham's performance. Statham portrayed Deckard as a cold, heartless man who will stop at nothing to get revenge. This led to amazing scenes like the hospital scene, his fight with Hobbs, and his final fight with Dom at the end of Furious 7. However, when Statham returns in The Fate of the Furious, Deckard Shaw is a much different character. In The Fate of the Furious, Deckard is much more likable, which led to him getting a Fast and Furious spin-off alongside Dwayne Johnson's Luke Hobbs. His appearances in The Fate of the Furious, Hobbs and Shaw, and other Fast and Furious movies have led to many amazing scenes for Deckard Shaw. Deckard's prison breakout with Hobbs at the beginning of The Fate of the Furious, in particular, is an iconic moment for the character. Therefore, after Deckard Shaw's introduction in Furious 7, it shouldn't be a surprise that he has become one of the best Fast and Furious characters.